And I think that's one of the things that if you institute means testing, we go to outcome-based performance measures so we can see we are actually doing things that are benefiting those members of our society that are truly needy. Now, military and veterans affairs, that's another one of the areas that we increase spending. It's hard to understand while we're in the middle of at least 2 conflicts where our military is giving us such great service, why we wouldn't increase funding to serve their needs. This budget does increase that funding. On to the next one. Of course, the Department of Public Advocate, we completely remove the funding. And we don't give lip service to it, we take the money away. Oh, okay. You know, as we went through each one, for example, I'll just pick some highlights. The Department of the Treasury. There is a number of economic development expenditures in there, and it's very troubling that you would consider they're out there in the marketplace. There are venture capitalists, which that's their job, to find areas to invest money. They are far more highly compensated and far more trained in this than bureaucrats or politicians are. And when you allow bureaucrats and politicians to choose your winners and losers, you're not going to get the best businesses. And I think that the past history, if you will follow these economic development incentives, these businesses tend to exist only when those economic development incentives are available. You can find anecdotal evidence otherwise, but in general, when you follow economic development, tax credits and incentives, they haven't worked in states. I think we've covered
most everything. Yeah. I'd like to just summarize where our major cuts are and where our goals are. We eliminate the Department of the Public Advocate. It's beyond me why this is back in this budget. This has been a centerpiece of the Republican Party for a number of years. They've criticized John Corzine on it. We eliminated it completely. Department of Health and Senior Services and Children's Services. Combining those departments is actually recommended in the Governor's Transition Team report. Given the recent development with the current or just resigned head of Children and Family Services, it's a great opportunity to combine those departments and experience considerable saving. The Department of Interdepartmental Funding. We know of no other state that has this department. Now, this is not a department that has an office. It's not a department that has people. It's a bookkeeping place which has increased a line item for salaries and benefits for personnel from $1.9 to $2.2 billion on the Office of Legislative Services, and in their documentation they say that this is where the government puts unassigned workers. Government seems to have an awful lot of unassigned workers. This department should be eliminated, every cost allocated to every single department, and let's find out who all these unassigned workers are so we can give them pink slips. So we downsize there significantly, and we simply go to other departments and make reasonable cuts. This is not an unreasonably low budget. It's still well above where the budget would be had the government grown in inflation over the last 20 years. It's still a good $1 billion above that point because you simply just can't cut everything overnight. Our budget strives to continue to downsize, and one of the things I found in businesses and as a mayor, as you find efficiencies, it allows you to become more efficient in other areas, sort of like peeling an onion. This budget begins to peel that onion. I am truly hopeful that this budget and all of its backup will be a tool for the Senate and Assembly budget committees and for the governor's office to help take parts of or use as a benchmark for reaching some of these goals. I don't expect they're going to vote on our budget to adopt it, but we really do hope this will have an influence, and I hope it can. I think we've backed it up quite sufficiently. And we believe our tax cuts are essential to the economy. So that's our introduction. At this point, we'd love to take any questions. Have I dazzled you with...
And we might point out many of the suggestions, in fact most of the suggestions in our budget, are simply best practices that have been achieved by looking at what various states have done in different areas.
Okay. The budget is available online in its entirety, including the school funding spreadsheet, departmental by department breakdown. Like I said, it'll make good reading, please feel free to call me at my office if you have any questions or follow-up. Thanks for coming. Thanks.
Our pleasure. We're welcome.
What do you think, Dick?
Great. Absolutely spectacular. It's great.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
Logical common sense. I think that's always the problem. There is no common sense.
The problem is that the story about the 100,000 plus employees was an interesting thing to come to the surface. Talk about that Department of Intergovernmental Funding.
You can't go CPAs not too long, and you lose
Yeah.
a lot.
Point budget in terms of what they never calculate in terms of how the drug
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they got a big problem already, a reduction in revenue.
What
do you mean?
Driving.